Hey, it's Brad. So serendipity, there's just so many ways to start this. I don't know. So if you say that God or Gaia or the collective unconscious or humans' personal psychic abilities, but they have to project them to an external locus of control and put their belief in that to be able to access that level of the subconscious, however you want to phrase it that makes you feel good. The part, I mean, there's a difference when it gets down to it, but the praxis of what I'm saying here is that for the conversation and logical exploration of most things, you don't need to make the distinction yet. That can come farther down the line when there are more data points to integrate. So the other day, I guess yesterday, it's not today, so it's the other day, I'd been thinking about something my dad asked about how I thought, Abram was listed as a friend of God, stuff like that, and how that made sense. And so I was given one response, and I was thinking about it and came up with a little doodle of one person and another person sitting at one of them's writing or translating or transcribing quill and ink, old school, and the other one that looks like a Jesus or God figure with various little details to imply is pointing down at the words that he's writing and pointing at the words in his thought bubble and busting up laughing. Because I've seen so many puns and word plays in the Bible, and if you believe in any sort of inspiration, then you have to believe that it's feasible. Because an atemporal God, someone that's outside of time, the way they would make changes to the universe would pretty much be like the way you make changes in a lucid dream. Like you are establishing laws of reality by what you determine to be true. And by determine, I mean it in the sense of setting it. You are determining that it is true. Or for it to be true. Words, human words. So I drew this picture and I sent it to my dad, and he jokingly said, "Looks like modern art, you should sell it." And I was like, "Yeah, it's whatever." So I tossed it in a little plastic bag, little GameStop bag that I had just on the desk here, and posted the picture of the card to Facebook. And then I glanced down, and the bag is transparent, at least on one side. And right on the top of it, at exactly the point where he was pointing and had been pointing at the potential wordplay, nondescript, it poked in right on the middle of two curves into a right angle, kind of like the V-shaped bird drawing, but right at the little curve part, he was poking it in, and because of the curve of the plastic, looked like he was busting up even harder. And I sent a picture of that to my dad, and I said, toss this in here, just lined it perfectly. He thought it was hilarious. That was the text. I said he thought it was hilarious. And then, as I'm about to send that, Russell Brand drops a new video called "Why I Believe in God," and I took a screenshot of it because it was, again, kind of surreal. The thumbnail of the video was very similar. I mean, he's got this, white scarf over his head, like a, head covering, And it looks kind of similar to the picture that I had just taken a third picture of. Anyway, so all of it just was kind of hilariously serendipitous. And I was thinking, well, that's, just kind of a screw in the courage to a sticking post at that point. Because I've been doing this research, into the Bible with original languages, and beyond that, potentially a natural language that, I've noticed a lot of Hebrew, specifically Akkadian script, looks like airflow diagrams, specifically in mouth shapes. Like if you were to have a symbolic encoding for any sound that your mouth would be making in a language, if there was a way to naturally depict that, then that would be the most natural script, right? So theoretically, even in a completely mundane paradigm, all languages would likely evolve towards that, if not, in creation, in design, be geared towards being that. That makes sense as being, for demonstration. If it's not pictographic, then it's, or rather, if it's not pictographic of what you're describing, then it could be pictographic of the function of making the sounds, making the words come out. And Hebrew makes sense to have done that because they did a lot of verbal tradition, oral tradition down the years. But anyway, so all that being said, an atemporal God that sets the laws of the universe such that they are enacted at all times, well, for him to appear to people, you need to put in things like hallucinations or psychedelics, these sort of things to be able to communicate back. Otherwise, he's just kind of have to be there the whole time. And it seems like when he tries that, the people don't manage it very well. In Exodus, Moses goes back up to bring the people up where God told him to. He said, have them wash their clothes for 3 days and get ready, because then I'm going to be coming down to the mountain. They can come see me face to face, that kind of thing. But Moses, whether intentionally to try to kind of skirt out of the responsibility of what he was told to do, or if maybe he was afraid he got the message wrong or something, or what's the most interesting prospect to me is that he literally misheard an audible message from God, from Yahweh, and because that has a lot of potentially big implications. I'll discuss those on another one, I'm sure. So anyway, he goes up, and Yahweh had told him, set up boundaries around the mountain. Don't let anybody come back near it. Don't let anybody touch it, not even the base, and they will die and be dead, and die to death, and be put to death. Whether it's by get shot with an arrow or a wild beast or whatever else. And he says, then in 3 days there'll be, I'll come down in a cloud. It's volcanic activity. It's really interesting. Again, if RNG was conscious, then all things subject to RNG, including tectonics and volcanic activity and those things, would be only predictable from one that controlled them. And there are different rabbit holes to go down on that one. But as it stands, that's enough serendipity to really kind of make you stop and think again. Maybe there's something more to it.